Hey, welcome everybody to this week's reading of the Daily Meditations with Native American Elders with the White Eagle Talking Circle. We are based in Billings, Montana, coming to you today to give our reflections of today's reading. So, before we do anything, I'm going to start out with prayer, sticking with culture and kind of sticking with the reading today. To offer up a quick prayer for those of you out there listening, all those walking the red road, all those that have gone back out, and those still battling their addictions. Creator, I just pray for all our family, all our loved ones, those that are trying to find their way, those caught up in their addictions. I just pray for that we all look to you and continue to lean on you and not our own understanding. In your name we pray. Who? Oh, we forgot to introduce ourselves. My name is Josiah, and I am an addict.
I am JC, and I am an addict.
Right on. Thanks for joining me, sir. And we read out of the Meditations with Native American Elders, and going to read today's fall Meditations with Native American Elders, December 5th. I've had a long regard for generational things, pottery, cultural things, participation in dancing, extended family. Only in that way does culture survive. Only in that way is culture active. Tesi Naranjo, Santa Clara Pueblo. Culture teaches us to live, and it ensures that knowledge about life is handed down from generation to generation. Culture gives us the feeling of belonging. It helps us raise our family in a good way. It teaches us how to treat one another. Culture sets boundaries for society. We need to develop our culture. If we have left our culture, then we need to come back to it. Culture leads us back to the Great Spirit. Sometimes in our lives, we leave what we know works and experiment with something else. Then we get into trouble, so we need to come back home. Native people are lucky to have a culture to return to. Creator, thank you for culture. Thank you for the culture. Let me live it today. Sorry, my voice kind of jacked up today, but just battling this cold sinus infection or something. Anyway, yeah, today's reading really brought into light this teaching that I got, cultural teaching from an elder that walks the red road, that uses sobriety to stay in recovery. And what she shared with me has been very vital to me in my walk on the red road. And what she told me was that, the teaching of the tree said so when the storm comes, the winds are howling, like everything else in nature goes and finds shelter and stuff, but the tree, it just stays still. It's rooted in, and it doesn't resist the wind. It doesn't resist the storm, and it just sways back and forth with it, like being adaptable, just going with whatever is being thrown at it. And as it does that, as it sways back and forth, when the storm's howling, the wind's blowing, and there's like total chaos from the storm, the trees just going back and forth, just taking whatever's coming at it and just kind of adapting to it and flowing with it. And as it sways back and forth, what that does is its roots are loosened just a little bit. And when the storm passes and it's all calm again, like those roots are loosened and they go and then they're able to grow down deeper and go and kind of fortify its foundation. And to me, that was just so profound. I said, "What?" And she talked about how you can lean up against a tree during a storm and you see it going back and forth. It sways, um, but it doesn't go down. And I just like that was so refreshing to me that we had these teachings, these cultural teachings. Our ancestors had these teachings, and they live by these teachings. That they're able to use nature, and within the readings, within the Wellbriety, it talks about how nature is our teacher. If we're just keen to it and watch nature, we can learn from it. And I really like the teaching of the tree that no matter what we go through, we just hold our ground, and we'll get through whatever it is, and we'll get through it, and we'll become stronger. And there's always life's always throwing something at you, whether it be a huge storm or just a little bitty rain burst. It's always happening. So that's what I got for today. Thank you guys for joining us today, and I'm gonna pass the mic over to JC.
Right. I hope hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, the thing I thought of first off when I read that morning was other than my higher power and going back to those traditional ways of teaching and our you know our culture, our ways, our spiritual practices, and all that stuff. Going back to that was the next step for me after you know communing with my higher power. 'Cause to me, that's kind of like part of that walking in faith and showing that I'm willing to follow those teachings. And to me, I firmly believe that everybody is given their own, I guess, trying to think of the right word. Everybody's given their own way by the Creator, and they, the messages are all the same, even though the language is different. So, with that being said, all to me, I don't think that I would have the right to say I'm proud to be Native and not, at the very least, practice the values and the things that our ancestors lived by. Uh, Respect for the world around us, respect for each other, respect for women, respect for ourselves, protecting the community, things like that. And so, part of me really wants to go into a whole rant about stuff, but I'll just leave that for later. Um, but yeah, the biggest thing for me, one of the biggest things for me was getting back to that. Uh, it's just if you read, if you listen to a lot of the elders, even some of these readings that we talk about here, um, that everything is out there, everything that we see will teach us something. And if we find ourselves in trouble, all we have to do is go straight to the source and ask and be open to it. And for me, sometimes I don't like the direction that I'm pointed, but that's not up to me. I just know that I'll have the strength to do it. Um, but our traditional ways, our traditional teachings, I think, are put there for a purpose for us as native people. And as soon as we get away from that, like I got away from that, that's when I started going south because the things that I did, the way that I acted, and the beliefs that I had, my elders didn't teach me that. My parents, that my grandparents, um, those are those false beliefs that I got into my head. I got that from outside work, and I started believing in that more than I did in our own particular ways. So that's when I got into trouble. And for me, that going back to my true form, as it were, what I truly am, that's when I, you know, started to have more success because I've tried sobriety and passion and everything, and there was just a few things missing, and that's just one of them. But anyway, I'll let that go. Oh my God.
Hey, thank you, JC, for providing your reflection today. I didn't grow up with culture. I didn't grow up with a lot of culture, I should say. I didn't get these cultural teachings. I didn't start implementing them until I started walking the red road. So, now it's like, I was like 32. So it's never too late to start implementing teachings. And just like JC's case, if you've walked away from it, you can always come back and start implementing them and start living in a good way and start becoming the person that, Body Deal wants you to be. So that's pretty powerful. So thank you guys for joining us today. The White Eagle Talking Circle reading of the Daily Meditations with Native American Elders. We'll close with the silent proclamation. To walk the red road is to offer up a silent proclamation. Here the destruction stops. We will heal ourselves. We will heal our wounded relationships. We will heal our children. We will heal our nation. On this day, our future history begins.
You know.